It is estimated that humans, in one form or another, have been on the Earth in the region of 200,000 years. That is a very long time, but it is only in the past 100 years or so that we have seen a technological explosion. We have went from, in 1903, the first sustained flight by the Wright brothers to sending men to the moon in 1969. As we sit around and marvel at our own achievements, it is all too easy to miss the side effects that we cause with all our wonderful technological achievements. We are already seeing a worldwide population explosion and are facing a huge issue with plastics that are dumped into our sea. The big question is, with our ever-improving technological advancements and their side effects, can we really survive the next 100 years? Overpopulation. When thinking about how the world may end, there would be few people who would think that overpopulation could be such a huge risk to humans. Those who are aware of the dangers of overpopulation have the fear of God struck into them just at the thought. In recent years, the population of humans on Earth has skyrocketed. While it took till the early 1800s for the planet's population to reach 1 billion, 1920 to reach 2 billion, the population then exploded to where we are today with a huge 7.3 billion people walking the Earth. It is expected that by 2050 Earth's population could reach 9.7 billion, and by 2100 it could be as high as a whopping 11 billion. The big problem with more and more people living on the Earth is not land or space. We easily have enough, but with consumption and the footprint we leave behind. It is well known that people living in developed countries consume more and leave a bigger footprint than those living in poorer countries. So, as the population continues to increase, do we insist those living in developed worlds give up some of their many privileges, or do we commit countless millions, if not billions of people to live in poverty? More worrying would be if those people living in less developed areas started to demand the same cozy lifestyles as those who are better off. Not only would the rate of consumption increase as the population increased, but it would skyrocket even faster if everyone already alive started to consume more. Something that we are all already doing year after year. It's questionable that the planet would be able to sustain 11 billion people, and it is thought that food and water shortages would become quite common with this number of people. Even if we could feed 11 billion people, the issue of the carbon footprint that we leave behind ourselves would surely become an ever-growing problem. As more and more greenhouse gases are pumped into the atmosphere and more waste is pumped into our oceans, climate change would accelerate, and we'd see more and more changes in our weather, most likely to the point where our beautiful planet becomes toxic for human life. Epidemics. Epidemics are a common feature in end-of-the-world movies, so it is hardly surprising they are, in the real world, a major concern for the human race. In recent years we have heard reports of plenty of outbreaks in various parts of the world. I'm sure you all remember the recent outbreak of Ebola in Africa, the swine flu epidemic, or even bird flu. While many of these outbreaks are luckily small in comparison to the world's population, it just takes that one nasty and highly infectious outbreak to appear. After all, we discover new viruses all the time, and even well-known viruses mutate, which means they can become resistant to any medicines or vaccines. In years gone by, outbreaks would certainly have been easier to contain to a small area. Nowadays, with worldwide travel becoming more and more common, if something new and nasty appeared, it could quite easily be spread around the world in a matter of days. Back between 1918 and 1920, well before a time when worldwide travel was as common as it is today, something as simple as a worldwide flu pandemic managed to kill off around 75 million people, and that was just the flu. Imagine something like the AIDS virus mutating and becoming airborne. The consequences do not bear thinking about. Asteroid strikes. An asteroid strike could well be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, non-man-made threat to our continued existence. While everyone knows about the asteroid that hit 65 million years ago, wiping out the dinosaurs, it is worth noting that the Earth is hit quite frequently. While the majority of these asteroids are small, many burning up as they enter Earth's atmosphere, there are still several that manage to make impact, although because of their relatively small size, few manage to cause us any real problems. It is the risk of getting hit by a larger asteroid that could cause us some very real problems. It is estimated that an asteroid with a diameter of 1 kilometer will strike the Earth once every 500,000 years. Asteroids with a diameter of 5 kilometers can expect to impact Earth maybe once every 20 million years. If the idea of something that big smashing into the Earth at tens of thousands of miles per hour isn't enough to scare you, then it is worth noting that we do occasionally get hit by asteroids a whopping 10 kilometers in diameter, the last hitting us around 66 million years ago and causing what is commonly known as the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event. An impact of this magnitude would generate the equivalent energy of several million nuclear bombs going off at the same time. Those who were not killed by the impact or the shockwave that would quickly engulf the planet would surely die a slow, painful death as the sun's light is blocked out for many decades, wiping out plant and animal life on a biblical scale. While scientists claim to be working on a variety of novel ideas on how we might deflect an asteroid found to be on a collision course with Earth, there is no concrete plan or proof that we currently have the technology to do such a thing. Some scientists think we may be able to use spacecrafts to pull or push an asteroid off its course, while others think a better option would be to fire nuclear missiles at an approaching rock. The big problem is that these are all just ideas and most likely totally unpractical in real terms. Why? Well, you have a huge chunk of space rock several kilometers across and traveling at a staggeringly fast 30 kilometers a second. Even a well-aimed nuclear missile would struggle to put a tiny dent in something like that. To make matters worse, only a tiny budget is given to scientists who patrol our skies looking out for killer asteroids. We do detect many asteroids that come close to us, but when it comes to keeping a lookout, we are not even scratching the surface of what is flying around out there. The chances are we would probably be very lucky to notice a killer asteroid coming our way in enough time to even begin to think of a plan for our survival, and as time ticks by, the chances of a large asteroid hitting us increases by the day. Climate change. We're not going to get into a debate about whether climate change is man-made or simply the Earth going through a natural period of cooling or warming. One thing we do know is that, for whatever the reason, the climate is indeed changing and most likely the biggest threat to the continued existence of human beings. As the average global temperature rises, which it is, and the sea ice melts causing the sea level to rise, we will run into all kinds of problems, which will mean disappearing coastlines are the very least of our problems. Some estimates suggest that we could see a global temperature rise of at least 11 degrees Fahrenheit. This would quickly cause a mass extinction of plants and animals and wreak havoc with ecosystems everywhere. Large parts of the planet would quickly become so hot that humans would not be able to survive there. Disease-carrying insects would live longer and increase in numbers, which would cause frequent global epidemics. Along with all that, we can expect an even greater increase in extreme weather events, which we are already seeing today. One way or the other, if something is not done soon, then climate change is almost certain to become irreversible and the consequences for humans will be dire. Nuclear war. Since the dawn of the nuclear age, a nuclear war is a terrifying and real possibility. After all, there have been several times over the decades that we have been a mere stone throw away from the brink. Thankfully, we have always managed to survive, but of course there is always the next time. The very laws of probability suggest that there are only so many times we will avoid a nuclear exchange before one actually happens. Simply taking a look at the news these days gives a clear indication that international tensions are heating up and becoming strained. You then throw in some tough-talking and aggressive world leaders and you could be forgiven for wondering how long is it till someone decides to launch. It is estimated that the global arsenal of nuclear weapons is in the region of 15,000. Russia has the most with 4,300 nukes to their name, while the USA comes a close second with 4,000. With this huge number of doomsday weapons available and knowing their astronomical destructive capabilities, it is easy to see that not many people would be able to survive a nuclear exchange. Those who did survive would be faced with the aftermath, which would include problems such as radiation and a nuclear winter which could kill off plants and ecosystems all over the globe. Artificial intelligence. A more recent challenge to humans making it through the next 100 years is the rise of artificial intelligence, something that will become even more of a concern once we reach the singularity, which experts estimate we will reach by 2045. That is only a handful of decades in the future. The singularity is the hypothesizes that at some point the invention of artificial superintelligence will trigger a runaway technological growth. This would most likely be in the form of a computer running software-based artificial intelligence, which would enter a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, with each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more rapidly. This would, in theory, result in an intelligence explosion leading to a superintelligence that would, qualitatively, far surpass all human intelligence. An artificial superintelligence, or ASI, could quite feasibly decide that humans pose a risk to them and the Earth and easily shut down our infrastructure or turn against us if by taking over control of computerized weapons such as drones and using them against us. It is a hotly debated topic as to whether or not this sort of scenario is possible, but great minds such as the late Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk have spoken out about the dangers of developing such technology. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more videos.